Okay then, so without further ado then, we'll kick off with the first session. Get your pens and papers ready. So Nick is going to start this morning with his simple product profit formula. Everyone from Apple to big companies to information marketers need new products to actually satisfy the need from the customers. Yeah? Nick is going to walk through this formula with you this morning, so put your hands together for Nick James.
Welcome everybody. Okay, I've got something slightly different to kick off this particular presentation. It is going to throw you a bit of a curveball before we get into the main content of this. Can I have a show of hands? How many people have seen the film American Sniper? Can I have a show of hands? If you haven't seen the film, I want to play a very short clip for you. And I want to show you how this should have an underlying thought, belief process, character, idea behind who you should be when you put together simple products, when you put together your business online, okay? Because you can choose the kind of marketplace you go to, the people that you want to interact with, and the people that you want to hang out with. And it's important you get this one right from the start. So this is the video. If we can have a little bit of audio on here as well. How are we looking? You got the... Okay, let me go back and I'll go forward again, okay? There we go.
There are three types of people in this world. Sheep, wolves, and sheepdogs. Now, some people prefer to believe that evil doesn't exist in the world. And that if ever darkened their doorstep, they wouldn't know how to protect themselves. Those are the sheep. And then you got predators. They use violence to prey on the weak. They're the wolves. And then there are those who've been blessed with the gift of aggression and the overpowering need to protect the flock. These men are the rare breed that live to confront the wolf. They are the sheepdog. And we're not raising any sheep in this family. And I will whoop your ass if you turn into a wolf.
Wayne.
But we protect our own. If someone tries to fight you, or tries to bully your little brother, you have my permission to finish it.
The guy was picking on Jeff.
Is that true?
Yes, sir. Yes, he was.
Did you finish it? Well, then you know who you are. You know your purpose.
Okay, so write down those three characters. You have sheep, you have sheepdogs, and you have wolves. Now let me explain who, in this industry, the sheep are. The sheep at this point are the people that don't take action. They follow the herd. Maybe they buy something and they leave it on the shelf for shelf development. You've heard that phrase before? It's not self-development, it's shelf development. That's a sheep. That's someone who is urging to be, to have somebody to follow a flock somewhere. You have sheepdogs. Sheepdogs, in a very kind way, are the animals that guide the sheep. And then you have wolves. So what I think we need to do is we actually need to work out which one you want to play. A wolf is someone that's going to tear a sheep apart, isn't it? That's what a wolf does. It wants to hunt on the hills, it wants to find the sheep, and it just wants to obliterate the sheep. Now, why is this important? It's important because I think you need to identify these three character traits to work out who you want to be and to make sure you're aware of wolves. Now, I hope that all of you want to be a sheepdog. You want to find your marketplace of customers. You want to find your audience. You want to find your niche, and you want to guide them. Now, it doesn't matter what it is, what business you're in. Maybe we have a driving instructor here. He wants to take the sheep and show them how to pass their driving test, how to become a safe driver. So they too can be sheepdogs. And they can then pass their knowledge and their experience onto others. Does that make sense? You could be in the business of teaching people how to write. But what you don't want to do is say, come along to a great big high-priced event, take my training, think about what you want out of the relationship and not give anything back. Then that's you being a wolf. You're just grabbing the money and delivering no value. But you need to be aware of wolves and how they operate online. And I think there's a growing undercurrent between people that want to give value and guide their customers to having this great success against the wolves. Now, in my industry, there are so many wolves out there, and it's time that things changed. This is a wolf, okay? I want to know how you can expose a wolf. These kind of promises, this is a sham, okay? You can make great profits on the internet, but guess what, guys? It's going to take work. It's going to take effort. It's going to take action. It's going to need a plan. It's going to need you to stay motivated. If you can say to yourself that actually, that's okay, and I put in the work, I will have a great result. But please don't fall for you don't need to put any time in, you don't need to spend any money, and by tea time, and I need to thank Paul Hollings for this quote, he said, I can't promise I'm going to make you a millionaire by tea time. Because that's what everyone seems to want to do. This is the wolf. So if we come from things right from the off, I'm not a wolf. I want to be a sheepdog, and I've got a little shepherd, and I'll show you how that works out. But here's the thing. If work scares you, you're in the wrong room, okay? But if you're prepared to apply yourself, great things will happen as a result. This particular quote that we have up here, Thomas Edison, was shared with us by email just the other day, and I thought it was a great place to put this in the presentation. How many opportunities have been passed by because most people saw it was dressed in overalls and it looked like work? It's opportunity. Opportunity. Another way that you can tell the difference between a sheepdog and a wolf, by the way, is whether he lets all his sheep kind of in a pen together and he talks to all his sheep at the same time. I think it's really important as part of your success moving forward for you to get online into some kind of group. Both myself and Neil, we run websites where we have discussion forums. Now I know discussion forums seem kind of maybe 2 or 3 years old. It's not Facebook or it's not Google Plus or whatever. But do you know what? This is a private membership area where only like-minded people are allowed to come and join. So hang out in discussion forums and online groups. Neil's got a phrase that is, being an entrepreneur can be the loneliest place on the planet when you're working at home in the box room or the kitchen table or what have you, and you're on your own there. So where can you go? Where can you hang out? Where can you ask questions? So please, if you do nothing else, make sure you join some kind of group or discussion. In fact, write that down. I need to join some kind of group. I don't know which one I am up there. I put the heading up here about shepherd and sheepdog. This is our GSD. Her name's Layla, and we had her from 7 weeks old. And believe it or not, the other thing that I battle with is the 30-second commute. You need to look after yourself. When you're just working in front of a computer, this little fluffy thing, she's not so little now, takes me out for a walk twice a day. I need to remember what it's like out there in the real world rather than just in this kind of cyber community. So whether I'm the shepherd or she's the shepherd or who's the sheepdog, I don't know, but that was when she was about 7 weeks old. If you're prepared to put in that time and effort, great things will happen. But I do realise that there is some kind of balance that has to take place, especially if you've got a family. Not all the time can be spent sort of with work. You need to put it out with you guys as well. So having a home-based business, let's not have any qualms about it. It's cheaper to set up an internet-based business than it is a traditional bricks and mortar business. You don't have to pay the rents, the rates. You can automate so much. In fact, somebody was saying the other day that they thought it was unfair that they had to pay $35 for their hosting each month. Where else could you rent a shop for $35? Somebody said to me, $20 a month for an autoresponder. What other system can automatically send out sales messages 24/7? There are costs involved, but they're going to bring you back more value than they're costing you each and every month. And it doesn't matter whether you're a lady or a guy working at home with the kids. This business will give you a great income if you allow it to. And that means you have to follow some kind of formula, some kind of plan, some kind of action system in order to get tasks done. But do you know what will happen when you actually launch your first product? you will have a moment where you think to yourself, oh my God, it just worked. I followed a system, a plan, I made something for sale on the internet and somebody bought it. And then you will actually devote more time to your business than perhaps you did before. So what I want you to write down is the word epiphany. You will have an epiphany the first time you sell something on the internet to a stranger. I don't mean your mum, your brother, your family, someone at work that you try to sell a product to. A stranger. The first time a stranger gives you money. I still remember my first customer's name. If he's in the room today, I'll take you out for dinner, we'll buy champagne. His name was Anthony Hoshing. He lived in London, and my first internet customer sent me a check. He printed out an order form from the internet and sent me a check for £54.90. I had an epiphany. I thought, do you know what? If I've made my first sale, I just need to do what I'm doing again, and I get 10 sales. If I can make 10 sales, I'll just keep repeating what I'm doing. I can make 100 sales. Does that make sense? So your epiphany moment is absolutely huge. Something will change when you have your epiphany moment. Now here's the magic thing. It doesn't matter if whatever you sold was £10 or $10. It doesn't matter if it was £5 or $5. It doesn't matter if it was £100 or $100. The fact is, a stranger gave you money. A stranger gave you money. You really need to reach this epiphany moment fast. And those people, and I've gone back through my databases and through the conversations I've had, those people that have not reached their epiphany have not reached it because they were focusing on the wrong thing. And it was down to greed. Let me explain that by showing this marketing funnel. How many people have seen this before? Okay. So you understand that everyone tells you that the profits are made where? At the bottom of the funnel. Yeah? So the profits are made at the bottom of the funnel. Less people buy those products. You remember hearing this? Yeah? Okay. And the funnel's wider at the top because of what? The products get cheaper until they're free. So the wide funnel with the free products is wide so it catches as many customers as possible, right? Then why is it that this kind of, one of the 7 deadly sins, this greed, tells us that we want to focus towards the bottom of the funnel. We want to make things expensive. By making things expensive, you're narrowing the chance of somebody actually entering your marketing funnel, which is okay if you're experienced and you have now gone past your epiphany moment and you're a little bit more experienced with your marketing. But when you're a beginner, you need to be focusing at the wide end of the funnel. You're going to reach your epiphany moment much, much more quickly. Does that make sense? Yep. So understand that we all somehow have some level of greed somewhere. Now we might be saying to ourselves it's masquerading as not greed, it's masquerading as success. Okay? You can have all these fuzzy thinking thoughts, but the fact is when you put your prices up, you might think the market demands that, you might think your product deserves that, but understand that that's a narrower part of the funnel, therefore it's inherently going to be a little bit more difficult for you to get to that part. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, so on that basis, let's just take things back to basics just for a second, okay? Let's concentrate the rest of this session at the top of the funnel. And I guarantee if you follow through with this simple product profit formula, you will have sales. And with those customers, you can then have back-end sales, multiple sales, and I'll show you how to go through 6 different phases to get where it is you want to go, a little bit further down that funnel. And I'll show you how that works. Okay, so a simple 4-step process. Choose a market. I'll help you to go through some of the things that you need to do to choose a market. We're going to sell something really, really simple, a simple product. 7 to 15 pages of written text. And I'll show you how to put that written text together. Don't be scared. If writing's not your thing, listen, it's not my thing either. However, I've got some new products that, I couldn't believe it when we actually printed them out and actually realized how much we'd created in the last couple of months, and more to the point, how much Kate had been proofreading in the last couple of months. And this is from somebody that's dyslexic and doesn't like to write. But let me share with you the system for writing, even if you don't like writing. And do you know what? In the time it takes, to write a couple of emails and be on a discussion forum, you can pretty much put together a 7 to 15 page report that you can sell online. So this is what we're going to be covering with the simple product profit formula. I'll show you how to sell a simple back end off the back of that report as well. Right? Things have changed. And I'll show you how to enjoy those back-end profits too, which is effectively just writing more simple 5 to 17 page reports. It doesn't need to be as difficult as you think it needs to be. This is where it's going to be good to get some experience right now. So, let's think about number one. Let's think about choosing that market. The first thing to do is think about the level of commerciality in the marketplace. The people that you're aiming your products and services to, do they have money to spend? Are they accustomed to spending money? Are these the people that are going to happily make purchases online? Can you present those people with a wide variety of offers? Even if we're going to be putting together a simple product, we know that we can't make all our money and reach all our goals and all our targets just from selling one simple 7 to 15 page report. We need to make sure that there's a demand for the next in the series. The next in the series. Does that make sense? And we also need to, perhaps, before you've reached your epiphany moment, choose a marketplace that you're personally attracted to. Choose a marketplace that you have an interest in, because before you reach your epiphany moment, other than the cash, what interests you in working with these sheep? What interests you in working with your target marketplace? If you've got that added bonus, that's all the better. It doesn't need to be there, but if it is there, then absolutely go for it. So marketplaces here. I don't know, take golf for example. There's so many different things to do with golf, but we know that a golfer has got disposable income. There's the short game, there's the long game, there's putting, there's driving, hitting the ball further. There's all these kind of things that are involved in that marketplace that you could start breaking things down into smaller bite-sized chunks. I'll go over this a little bit more in finer detail later, but there's only so much you can put into a simple product that's 7 to 15 pages. It's almost like a micro niche report in your marketplace. Does that make sense to you? You're breaking these things down to specific questions, specific problems that could be answered in very, very short guides. Also think about ongoing demand in terms of could somebody progress from beginner to intermediate to advanced? Can you take somebody up through the levels of understanding? Multi-format your offers. That's something else that somebody might be prepared to pay extra for. I've spoken before about a product staircase, and the fact is the same information, and this is the key. This is not what today's presentation is about, but I want you to write this note down. And this is the principle that people are prepared to pay different amounts of money for the same information delivered in a different way. That's a core principle that you should be writing down in your business. People are prepared to pay different amounts of money for the same information delivered in a different way. So multi-format your offers. If you've written a book or you've written a small report, think about putting on a one-day workshop, coaching clients, Skype consults. It could be the same information, the same subject matter, but it's what you do with that subject matter that will have a great difference in what that's worth to one of your customers. Neil spoke earlier about reoccurring income, membership sites. If you take that back slightly, the delivery method here was a membership site. The principle here is repeat income. Anything that you can do in your business to get a customer to pay for a service monthly, to pay for consumables monthly, to pay for information monthly, is going to have a huge difference to your bottom line. But right now, let's think about how we can help you get to your first goal. So, profitable marketplaces. I'm going to flash up 50 on the screen. Please don't write them down. I'm going to give you a set of these slides. However, it doesn't always have to be, make money online, invest with property, trade the markets. There's some great places. The industry of how to make some money, how to save some money, is a fantastic marketplace. But you know what? I know people that make money with the strangest of things, from poultry to painting and decorating, interior design. Even in the room, Neil has a great site about Chinese cooking. He can tell you about later on. Niche markets, golf. I've got two customers who have got membership sites based on golf. With the way they did things, they licensed a course from America, rebranded it, tweaked it around a little bit, and they sell their golf lessons online in audio and PDF format to their members on a monthly basis. So think about niche markets that you're interested in as well. So you'll get the slides on these, so don't worry about that. But some extra sort of bonus tips for you. Let me show you where I fell down in the marketplace recently, was looking at Facebook. Now, with Facebook marketing, and I kid you not, it's an absolutely great way to find new customers. I developed a piece of software that was using Facebook to show you where those customers were. The problem with this is the fact that Facebook changes every single day, every single week something changes with Facebook. And before long, I found myself in the business of spending more time having that software updated than I did doing anything else. So looking at a fast changing marketplace, for me, wasn't right. I wanted something that was actually a little bit slower. So it's still internet marketing, still information publishing, but I've backed off a little bit from Facebook because it changes so quickly. Does that make sense? So if you're writing 7 to 15 page simple products, maybe you want to take that into account, that whatever you choose as your market, you wonder how quickly your 7 to 15 page report is going to go out of date. So if you can pick something that's going to be a little bit longer, what's the term, evergreen, so it's going to be just as relevant today as it was yesterday or last week, that's something for you to do. The other thing that I was looking at was controversial things, multi-level marketing. Now, I got involved a little while ago with a multi-level marketing company that was selling diet products. And I'll tell you, I've got nothing against the company itself, okay? So I'm not going to get sued for whatever I say here. But do you know what I realized from the outside looking in? Was the fact that I wanted to be the general in the business. I wanted to be the general in the army. And they wanted me to be a foot soldier. And that means I was a kind of what do they say? Is it a round peg in a square hole or a square peg in a round hole or whatever it was? I didn't quite fit. But the other thing with that was, everything had to conform to what they did, but I wasn't in control. This is all about controlling your database and controlling what goes on. So you need to, write down something else, which is you need to build a database. Whether it's an email database, a names and addresses database, and you need to own that, not a third party that you have no control over whether they're still in business next week or next month. So I'd avoid those kind of things. The other thing I'd do is check out what's going on, with Google. Go and have a look at Google Trends, go and have a look at some marketplaces, see where some searches are increasing, see what's popular right now. Some of the other things that I would perhaps suggest that you look out for as well is look for other businesses that are already selling into the marketplace that you're looking for, okay? Just see if there's a level of commerciality out there. Do I have competition? Is competition a good thing or a bad thing? Competition is a good thing. It's a good thing because, these other guys have been in business with it, and you know what? If I'm successful and they're successful, maybe we can come together and we can do some kind of JV. So look for other people in that particular marketplace. If you're the first one, if you're the warrior, the first one over the hill, that's actually quite dangerous to be the first guy wielding the axe, coming down and off the moors. The other thing you want to do is look at how many products are on offer from those companies. Have they managed to break down the market into sub-niche products? How many products have they got on sale? Have they found that their customers are buying multiple products from them as well? Just go and have a look at the competition. I don't mean going and doing a week's worth of SWOT analysis, but just go and have a look at their online shops. Get on their mailing list, see what they're offering you. One of the final things to go through as well is on Google, on the right-hand side, are there any pay-per-click ads? Is somebody paying to be in that market? Go and have a look in some magazines. Are people paying to advertise those kind of things? If they are, it's a great business to be in, because it means that they're not just working on free marketing. In fact, free marketing or free web traffic is fantastic, but also paid marketing gives you an instant result. So make sure you can actually afford to put some money behind your marketing, and if another company can do that, then we can show you how to do that too. Okay, so we've chosen a market. In fact, one of the products I'll be sharing with you today, I've got quite a few of these products, and we'll make sure these are over on the table at the back a little bit later on. I'll be going through this. This is one folder of something called the Unfair Advantage cheat sheets, and this is a product designed to help you to create content. This is aimed at anyone that's involved with, I suppose, publishing any kind of information, either online or offline. And I'll tell you as we go through the rest of the presentation how we came up with the idea for doing this. But it was about the demand. We know there's lots of information publishers out there. So when we look at a criteria for our marketplace and coming up with the perfect idea for a simple product, let's look at demand. How many people are out there? See what people are searching for. Let's start off with some real easy things to do. No heavy lifting here. Let's go off to Google. Let's go and have a look at Google Suggest. Let's have a look for other ideas. All we're doing right now is taking an initial idea. In this term, let's look at weight loss. And let's come up with lots of other different phrases and ways of saying that. And I'll show you where we can start searching for these in other commercial places in just a second. So sticking with the weight loss, I use it as an example because weight loss is not something that I thought it was in the terms of I was going to go on a diet. I wanted to get down to, what was it then, 13 stone or something, to go and do a wing walk and sort of go and raise some money for charity. I thought I had my eyes on getting down to that particular weight. When I got that weight, what did I do? I kind of used that as any other goal that I've ever had, and I've kind of ticked it off the list. I've done that now, and guess what happened to the weight? Came back up again. So now I realise that it's not about going on a diet, which is a temporary thing. It's about a lifestyle change, which is an ongoing thing. So the weight loss industry is perfect, really, for what we're talking about here, because it's got an ongoing interest. And there are lots of things that you can sell during that ongoing process for somebody to learn to manage their weight and get their fitness going, all those kind of things. Kate tells me I need to go and do crunches and work on my core, and sort of, it's not just about losing weight now, it's about sort of getting ripped or whatever it is, I don't know. I think she should go to the Chippendales for that. But anyway, to get these ideas here, weight loss, losing weight, losing fat, fat loss, you could be there all day if you had to try and brainstorm where all these words come from. So guess where the answer is? Google give it to you for free. First page results of Google, type in your search phrase, go to the bottom, they will give you what they call Google Suggest. And really what Google are saying is, look, if these first 10 results aren't any good, consider changing your search phrase. That's really why it's there. But it's a fantastic research tool for you. Start, I don't know, just copy and paste, highlight, Control-C, Command-C, whatever it is, copy and paste it into a document so you start creating a list of keywords for your marketplace. You can also do the same with golf, or whatever as well. But when you look for your tips, the reason I wanted to bring the second one up is obviously the VW Golf has come up in the search results. Google is not clever enough to know whether you meant golf the sport or golf the car when you start putting things in. So remember to throw away, the keywords or the search terms that aren't really any good for you. The fact here is once you've created this list, there are other places that you can go to work out whether this is a good product idea. Do you remember earlier on I said, are other people in this marketplace? Remember, this is a 7 to 15 page report that we're writing here to get things going, to get things started. Go and head over to ClickBank, clickbank.com. I'm not saying you have to sell with ClickBank, but ClickBank have got the marketplace. Type in each of the phrases that you've now written down from your Google and your Google Suggest and go and visit ClickBank Marketplace. What comes up in the search results? Now you're finding people that have sold or are selling similar products and services for exactly what you're beginning to search for. Does that make sense? These guys are already in business. ClickBank's got an affiliate program. When you work out what their product is, you can actually see how many products they're selling. Is that cool or is that cool? So you can actually start to see the level of commerciality and how successful they are with what they're doing. So all we're doing now is working out whether the idea we've got is the level of commerciality. But listen, ClickBank is not the only marketplace. Also go and try JVZoo. You can go and search for products in JVZoo. Type in those keywords that you've got from your Google Suggest. Amazon. Go to Amazon. Amazon sell books, they sell CDs, they sell all these other kind of wonderful things. Go to Amazon, check there what's being sold at Amazon. Google. Go back to Google and actually look at the shopping side of Google. Go to discussion forums, see what people are asking for. Does that make sense? So you've actually started with just an idea for a marketplace. We've now kind of niched things down. We want to see a level of commerciality. We've expanded our search through Google Suggest, and now we've found other people selling those kind of things in those marketplaces. Where else can we go? Let's take our idea and let's go off to e-zine sites. So let's go to ezinearticles.com, articlealley.com, Article City, any article directory, and now go and start looking for the articles that people have written. The articles that other people have written about these subjects, these could be JV partners in the future. It's also giving you some idea of, at the end of an article, there's kind of like an author bio box, which sometimes links back to somebody's product. So again, you're doing your market research here, seeing how useful that is. Go and have a look at magazines. If you don't want to go to the newsagent or a newsstand, then go to magazine.com, magazine.co.uk, magazine.au.nz. Go and have a look at the other magazines that are out there. See what topics are being written about in magazines. One of the places you can hang out before you go away traveling is in the news agents at the airports. They have the most magazines there. See what's popular. Is it horse riding? Is it photography? Is it internet? Is it crafting? Is it athletics? If there is a section on the magazine stands, there is an interest. Go into those magazines, pick them up, flick through them, buy a few of them, look at the adverts in those magazines as well. It'll give you a good level of interest. Go and check out Facebook. Look for Facebook groups in certain areas. Look for the number of people that are in those groups. And most importantly, ask the people that are on, either in your discussion forum that you've joined, or if you've already started a mailing list, an emailing list, a newsletter, survey people. Ask them what they're interested in learning more about. Ask them what they're more passionate about. SurveyMonkey is free. You can set up a free survey with SurveyMonkey to ask questions. So this is how we get some great ideas for this perfect product. I'll give you another idea, because I want to make things as simple as possible for you. Let me take you back to when we went to the ClickBank marketplace. Okay? When we went back to the ClickBank marketplace and we put in a search phrase that we found on Google, you know where those long traditional kind of sales letters normally appear, don't they? I know videos are popular, but you know the long letters? Look at the bullet points. Okay? Don't read the whole sales letter. Don't necessarily go and buy the product. That's not what I'm saying. Go and read the bullet points. If the marketer has done their job properly, those bullet points are benefit-driven statements that are about a precise topic within a market, within a niche. So the example I've got on screen for you is about a section that's in one of these first manuals. Okay? So do you understand when you read the bullet point, it tells you something like, in this case it says what, a checklist for how to write an easy article. For creating a great title, to writing the article, crafting the results, getting a good resource box, this checklist is your key to writing better articles. Okay? You think to yourself, actually, do you think that that bullet point could be expanded into a simple product that is 7 to 15 pages? Absolutely. So you can get unlimited amounts of ideas in the niche that interests you using this process. Because it's about idea starters. And in fact, idea starters, again, we could read another bullet point, but idea starters are where I start. Whenever I create a new product, I'm going to go back to my idea starters in this product. But there's a great idea starter for you. It doesn't matter what niche you're in, you can use this process to beginning to write a simple product. 5 is all it needs to be, 7 to 15 pages long. So, criteria number 2, because we've gone through demand, so hopefully you wrote down demand and you were looking for how many people are searching for something and how many people have bought the product on ClickBank. Now we're looking at the criteria of it being distinct. Remember, 5 to 17 pages, 5 to 12, 5 to 17 pages, whatever, is all we have here. So it needs to be precise. You can't cover everything about this subject matter in that number of pages. So it needs to be very distinctive, very specific, very on topic. Now there are 2 ways that you can do this. One of them is the fact that you could put things into a segmented kind of order, which is what we have here with a checklist. Or the other way you could do things as well is you can also, let me move this on just a second for my notes. You could also do things as kind of a part, so it's supplemented. So that's another way of doing things. So with a supplemented offer, it's, why don't we come up with so many ways in which you can accomplish something. So this can now be a series. So this could be 20 ways to write an e-zine article, or 20 ways to create an online web video, 20 ways to interview an expert. Can you see what I'm saying? So you can come up with a series of these things. So, I mean, it could be like, I don't know, the 5-minute guide to blank, or the top 10 things that you need to do about blank. You can come up with this kind of supplemented offer as well. So what we want to do, by the way, in these supplemented offers, where it comes up with 24 ways, or you can even have a mega list of sort of 101 ways to do something. But a segmented offer, the reason we come up with 24, 25, 28 ways to do something is psychologically at the back of the mind of your customer. If you only gave them 3 ways to do something, they're probably thinking, well, I don't know if any of those 3 ways will work for me. But when you give somebody 24 ways to do something, or 24 ways to achieve something, the customer's thinking, well, if only 3 of those work, it's worth me buying that product. Does that make sense? So try and have enough in there to kick that off. But what I would do is start to build up some kind of swipe file in your marketplace. All this research you're doing, print it off. Well, it doesn't matter if you print it off and it's a physical swipe file, or you have just somewhere on your computer that you go to on a regular basis. You got some folder on your desktop or C drive donated to this. It's completely up to you. But start building up a swipe file that you can pull ideas from. By the way, a swipe file is not necessarily to be plagiarized. I mean, I have a swipe file that you can actually plagiarize if you want to. But most swipe files that you create off your own back, use them for research and for ideas, but never verbatim copy and paste what's in there. So think about the idea of how you can have 24 ways to blank, or 24 how-tos, or in something like that. So let's look at some content. What are we actually going to write in this this product? It's only a few pages. How are we going to title it? How are we actually going to start getting our ideas down on paper? Well, the first thing is writing in its most basic form is thoughts on paper. That's all writing is. Do you know, writing scared the heck out of me when I was at school. I can't remember the number of times that I had to rewrite my essays of Mice and Men and all that kind of stuff. I absolutely hated writing. But it's really just thoughts on paper. And different people like to write in different ways. But what I like to do is have some kind of guide that I write to, and then I kind of stretch that guide out, and then I kind of polish and smooth the edges. And I'll show you how I do that. But remember, we need to be specific, we need to be distinct, and we need to give it a catchy title. So let's start really with the title that we have in mind. So a title for you. I've got an ABC kind of way of titling something. It's my system, my method, my process of doing that. It needs to accurately represent what the guide's about. That's the first thing. So whatever my title is going to end up being, it needs to be accurately represented. Easy for me to say. The next thing is it needs to be a headline which kind of arouses curiosity and builds a little bit of interest. Effectively, it's going to be the main draw for somebody buying your report. So it needs to build interest. The next thing it needs to do as well, it needs to communicate the benefits of owning the report. It makes sense, doesn't it? So what I thought would be really useful to share with you guys is some templates, and we'll quickly run through these templates of how you can put these titles together. And this is a handout that I'm going to be giving you, which is taken from one of these great big kind of swipe files of templates that I have here. So if the guys could hand those out for you, and if I could have one as well, that would be really useful. What I found is having a swipe file is a huge shortcut because you don't have to stare at a blank sheet of paper. And a lot of these templates, you're going to look at them when they're in the template format, and you're going to go, oh, is that really kind of powerful? Until you actually take out what's in square brackets and you start to actually add this into your niche. So we talk about the ABC on the front page here. Well, what I'd like for you to do is just turn over to the second page, and I want you to think about, as a live exercise, I actually want you to write on this document as we go through how you could cross out in the bold and actually put in your niche. So, for example, number one, secrets of, what's your niche? Golf? Secrets of master golfers? Is it secrets of weight loss? In how many easy steps? Do you remember when we had the method of 27 ways to? It could be 27 easy steps. It could be 6 steps. How many steps is important? So in the first example, let's actually put that getting benefit in there for weight loss. The secrets of quickly and easily losing 10 pounds in just 3 easy steps. If you're interested in weight loss, do you think that would be a nice 5 to 7 page report that you might want to read? Because it presents that benefit. We're using the same template, just on template number 1, the secrets of creating a backyard chicken coop in just 5 easy steps. Now my brother-in-law will be interested in that. In fact, they've just got 4 chickens and a new chicken coop. I think we bought him the chicken feeder for his birthday present. It's the most odd thing I think we've ever bought, ever. Can't wait to have fried breakfast round at their place next time. Okay, so the fact is that that is just one template. What we've done here is we've shared, I think it's like 24 or 25 different templates, and just go for the one that resonates with you the most. So whatever your niche is, over the next couple of minutes, let's just go through the first couple here. So number 2, how to get benefit and get benefit without doing something unpleasant or having some prerequisite. So how to get a big promotion and pay rise without haggling with your boss. How to start up your own successful online business without having to invest any money. So the idea here is a double benefit. Oh, and by the way, you don't have to worry about that. So a weight loss one is like how to lose weight and feel great without suffering hunger pains. A lot of people think when they diet, they're going to feel hungry all the time. So by using that template of how you get this benefit and this benefit, but you don't have to suffer that, that's a huge turn on to somebody that's wanting to achieve that goal. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, let's go down to number 3. A shocking topic secret some group doesn't want you to know. So the shocking money-saving secrets your car dealer doesn't want you to know. So if anyone's shopping for a second-hand car, do you think that they would be interested in spending a small amount of money on a product if it's going to save them money in the long run buying the car? Absolutely. The shocking weight loss secret your personal trainers don't want you to know. And we can go on and we can go on and we can go on. But here's the topics for your first 24, 25 reports simple products that you can use. And it can all be in the same niche. You can keep going back to your Google Suggest. You can keep going back to the ClickBank Marketplace or the JVZoo Marketplace. Keep reading those sales letters to come up with other bullet points. They're usually, and this is what I'll be showing you later, how to make sure that your bullet points as well are always benefit driven. And if they're benefit driven, it's going to give you a nice little niche example. Is that good? Is that useful? Yeah. These idea starters really will turbocharge how quickly you can get things going. So I'll leave that, just close it, turn it over, and come back to that a little bit later on. Come back to it a little bit later on. Okay, I want to you might want to write down this little acronym in your notes. Write down pages down the left-hand column. What we're going to look here for is how we can put down, I've written down various things, ideas. Actually, once you've written down pages, down the side here, underneath that, or on the next sheet of paper, I just quickly wrote myself some more notes actually. So on the next sheet on from that, we'll come back in a second, write down ideas, notes, lists. I haven't got these on my handout, so you might just want to write these words down. Ideas, notes, lists, questions, reminders, personal reflections, thoughts, things to do, checklists, details, steps, facts, reasons, comparisons, contrasts, statistics, quotes, illustrations and stories. I'll do it again for you really quickly. Keep up. Listen, if I talk quickly, listen faster. Okay?
Nick, I'll read it out and you can write it.
Okay. Ideas, notes, lists, questions, reminders, personal reflections, thoughts, things to do, checklists, details, steps, facts, reasons, listen faster, comparisons, contrasts, statistics, quotes, and illustrations and stories. All right? These are all ways in which you can get ideas out of your head and onto the page. And in fact, each of those, what is there, 12, 15, I didn't count them all, ideas, you know, hey, if you wrote down one page of content for each of those things, I mean, your report's done. You know, and you don't. That's just a brainstorm of the ways in which you can get some of these ideas out of your head and you can put them down onto paper. But let's go back to pages, okay? So your P is for plan. Plan out your report by brainstorming the list of questions that I've just given you. The list of content ideas that I've just given you. This is how we're going to plan out our content. Or break the board here. Okay, so we're going to plan. Again, the ways that you can start getting ideas out of your head, they start here, but they can all be expanded upon. And again, the idea with the product to put together, the Unfair Advantage cheat sheets, is for content creators who want to get those, you know, their articles written, their products written. It's a way of filling in the blanks, templates, and expanding on all of those ideas. So during the breaks, go and have a look at the Unfair Advantage cheat sheets and the other stuff at the back of the room and see more ideas that you can use to expand your content. So the next thing that you might want to do is you might want to think about how you arrange things. One of the things that I like to do is to start using step-by-step formats. So A's for arrange. Think about you doing things in a chronological order, step by step. I think I'm going to have to start another sheet of paper because that's falling off. So we're going to plan. We're going to arrange. Something else you might want to do is in the back of, sorry if I just want to show you some examples of what's happened in the past. I've got another product here called How to Write Copy That Sells. It's all based on copywriting. And module number 10, I'm not sure if you can see that, that says the A to Z guide of copywriting insider wrinkles, and it's how you iron out your copywriting. So this particular lesson here has got 26 different lessons, all based on the letter of the alphabet. A is for action, B is for something I can't say on camera, but it starts with bull. C is for criticism, D is for diet. Also, you see how it happens. It's just like all I did to get 26 different ideas was I used the letter of the alphabet. Does that make sense? So you could do an ABC. In fact, if you want to see the full list, again, just go and thumb through these. These have been brought with us this weekend just so you guys can have a little look through everything. Another way of doing things is exactly what we're doing here. Just get an acronym going. Can you think of an acronym that you can use to make a point? So if you've got the 5 ways of arranging content for your next simple product, what could you put down as an acronym down here as well? So we're just arranging how we're writing. So once you've actually got a plan of attack and you've started to arrange how you want to lay things out, what I would suggest is the fact that you kind of write a little bit of each section. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we just need to expand on things. Once we've actually got each section laid out, the G is grow. Now I first realized this when I worked with a ghostwriter and I put a book together called Live Big, Think Large, Act Sensibly. I wrote kind of about that many pages and I gave it to an old English master who worked as a ghostwriter in Reading, and I just got him to take the pages that I'd written and he just stretched the whole thing out. He grew it for me. But this is the same idea here, not looking at a paperback book now. We're looking at 5 to 17 pages or 7 to 12 pages or so. We're looking at growing the content, filling in the blanks. Let's go back to that list of words that I gave you earlier. Could you put in, for example, a checklist to each of your 5 areas that you're concentrating in your 5 ways to do blank? Could you put a checklist in? Would that grow the content? That's just one way you can actually expand on the original idea. Think also about putting in some kind of introduction at the beginning, a summary at the end. Don't go too overboard because there are other things that I'll show you how what to do to package your simple product in a little while. But make sure there's an intro. Maybe it's in this short report, just go over the benefits you are going to discover. Put the intro in there and also do a summary at the end. Okay. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to start thinking forward. As we're now writing on a different piece of paper or a different document on the computer, I want you to start extracting various things that you can start to use on the web page that will market this free report. I want you to extract the things that you will now begin using as your bullet points. So put those on a different sheet of paper. Because we're still in the product creation stage at the moment, but now let's start thinking about the marketing that we're going to do. Let's start pulling out some bullet points. So once we've done that, the next thing we're going to do, that's the S down there by the way, is we're just going to start to smooth it all out. And that's it, that's the page's format. By smoothing it out, you might want to make sure that the document is now long enough. Maybe you want to start formatting it. Make sure it's starting to look nice and smart. One of my huge weaknesses is anything to do with proofreading. There are people out there, by the way, that will love telling you what you haven't done, and they like pointing out your flaws to you. Okay, these people exist. You can either use them to your advantage, or you can just smile sweetly, thank them, etc. I hate it whenever I get something wrong. I do. I hate it even more when I send something out and it hasn't been proofread because maybe Kate hasn't been in the office, and I think, oh, to hell with it, I'll just get it out there, and I've made a mistake. I do kick myself. But it does make me smirk where all the good stuff I put out, where are the reply emails from that guy saying, oh, brilliant email, spell checked, proofread, great content, going to do something with it, right on, Nick, you're the man. Why does he only email me when, my conjunctive comma's in the wrong place with me, I don't know. But they always like telling me when I've got something wrong. And it will happen, but you know what? Proofreading should be part of the step. So it should be in here. And I do want to put out good quality content. So when you smooth it out, think about, padding it to the right length, polish it up a little bit, get somebody else to read it, go through it, get it proofread, and just smooth it out. So there we go. That's the S. Smooth it all through. And then you've got your complete report, which is pretty cool, isn't it? Pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go through some of the packaging. Now, I know that there's not much to package on a 7 to 15 page report, but it's important that I share these with you because when I first started online, I kind of missed the point entirely about packaging things. So whilst these things are simple, they have a profound effect on the ongoing growth of your business. For those of you that are staying back for the evening presentation, I will take what I'm about to share with you over the next 5-10 minutes and I'll stretch it out into a kind of a mind-blowing psychological marketing system for you. But right now, let's look at how we'll package the simple product. Starts off with our title page. Nothing wrong with donating just one page to the title. The next thing you might want to do as well is you might want to have some kind of legal disclaimer page. If you're doing weight loss, it might be something to do with the information provided is provided in good faith for entertainment purposes only. When losing weight, you should always consult with a qualified dietitian or something along those lines. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an attorney, I don't play one on TV. In fact, we've got all our disclaimers and legal pages all kind of set up by an internet lawyer. There's one guy called Bob Silber who is American-based. If you're looking for professional kind of legal advice for an information publisher, and I think there's another website about sort of internet marketer law or something. There are guys out there that can help you do that. I can't give you legal advice. However, if you wish to copy my disclaimers and my legal pages on my website, you do so at your own risk. I don't mind if you do that because I paid for the release of that content. I just can't guarantee you're covered. Does that make sense? But you can use it and save your money if you wish. But rest assured, it's what I use. So hopefully it'll be okay. But you might want to have a legal page, and sometimes the disclaimers, they also go into things like when sort of the male gender refers to the female gender and vice versa, and if I say he, I mean she as well, and his and her, and all that kind of thing. So you just have a look. Again, when you're looking through these products, on the table a little bit later, just see how it's written. Feel free to copy it. We'll do questions at the end if you write it down for me. Author page. The other thing that I want you to put up is an About You page. You need to form some kind of bond with the people that are reading your products. So sing your praises. Put an introduction to you there. Put a photo on there if you like. I don't do that. I don't put the photos up necessarily, but whatever you want to do, make sure you have an author page there. The next thing I do before we even start the free reports is I actually link to my other websites before the report begins. Now, back in the early days, I didn't even put a link into anything, which was daft. So what you'll find when you read through these products is, this is what else you've got. These are other resources that can help you, because your customers are guaranteed to see them. They might not actually click any links to start with, but they're going to see them before they start reading your report. So that's where you start getting people to come back to your website, to start knowing about your other simple products, your other reports that you're going to be writing. So it makes sense that when you've written report 1, you might only have a link to your main website and this report. Okay? When you've written report number 2, you can link to report number 1 in report number 2, can't you? Yeah, because number 1 exists. And then the next thing is you go back to report number 1, and you can put a link into report number 2. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you can go back and you can refresh and you can edit, even if the only thing you change are the resources. And maybe you want to put some kind of special offer or coupon code or whatever on there, but make sure that resource page is there. You might want to, coupon codes can work in 2 ways. In fact, I'm working with some guys at the moment because I think, by the way, coupon codes, write down a light bulb on the term coupon codes. And in fact, I don't have a product on this, but it's going around like wildfire that coupon codes with an expiry date are having tremendous effects as a call to action. Okay, so a call to action, something that puts a bomb under somebody's backside and gets them to order right away, is an expiring coupon code. Now my argument is, or my thought is, that coupon codes should work 2 ways. Now not every shopping cart does this just yet. Some do. Some will in the future very soon, hopefully. And some of them do it already. But a coupon code can either discount price or it can add value. Now how does it add value? Well, maybe there's a different product in the shopping cart, or in the shop system, that can get automatically added. Do you know where this idea came from? The Alamin Tandoori takeaway that all of a sudden said, you qualify for free poppadoms. All you need to do is you need to type in this code and then we'll add the free poppadoms to your order. And it was because I spent so much money, they said, well, you can maybe have a freebie, you can have a free side. I thought, wouldn't it be great if you could turn around to your customers and say, if you add this coupon code to the box when you order, as long as you order by this deadline, you also get added value for no extra money. So coupons can go both ways. They can offer discount or they can add value. So watch this space to see how we start implementing that. So think about coupon codes or discounts or deals or what have you. We'll talk more about the 6 phases of taking your simple product business to the next level with deals in just a second. Deadlines, really important to get somebody to act now, a call to action. So think about how you could put those into your products. If you're going to go back and you're going to be updating these with new resources anyway, you can update the deadlines. Just have a little calendar set to say when you need to update the deadlines in your product. Other things you can do, especially for slightly longer simple products, maybe if it's gone over 15 pages, maybe it's 20, 25 pages, the other thing you could do is optional, I recommend you do it, and that's put in some kind of table of contents, some kind of table of contents really, an index of what's covered in the guide. Have you noticed how we've started to build this up and we haven't even got to our content yet? Okay, so that's next. Now our content will go in there as well. And then right at the end of the report, we're not done yet, what else can we do? Well, let's now put in some kind of offer. I'll expand on this in the presentation this evening. However, some kind of special offer at the end. Some way of taking the customer from where they are now to the next logical step. So in the case of my checklist we're using here in this particular example, where I said, I'll give you a checklist. If you remember, the bullet point I pulled out on the sales letter was, I'll give you a checklist for the 5 things to do to write an e-zine article. The next logical step, or the recommended resource, could be, well, you've gone through the checklist. The next thing to do would be to go and invest in the templates package. Yeah, so it's the next logical step. It helps the customer get from where they are now to the next place. You might want to write down most wanted response. The most wanted response of this entire guide is not only to deliver value, but the most wanted response is to help the customer get to the next step. Does that make sense? And if your recommended product helps them to do that, it's a good thing. And remember, the recommended resource that you're offering doesn't need to be your product. If we go back right to the beginning of this presentation and you're just getting started, use an affiliate product. Go and find somebody that's got an affiliate program in your marketplace, sign up, work out what the best fit of their products is to your front-end product, your simple product, your 7 to 15 page report, and recommend it at the back. But for heaven's sake, only recommend products. Go back to the whole kind of sheepdog, wolf thing. Don't recommend something because you get paid a lot of money for recommending it. Recommend it even if you'd recommend it for free. Recommend it if you would recommend it to your grandmother, to a family member, somebody you care about. Then put it at the back. At the very, very least, you need to have an affiliate product link at the end of your simple product. Is that good for everybody? Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's now look at pulling together the sales letter. Okay, this is what we're going to cover on the coming slides. So don't feel you have to write all these down now, but you'll notice that if we just go back to what I was saying earlier about the pages format of putting content together and how you arrange things, I kind of think it's second nature now that everything on this particular list is starting with the letter P. It's pulling together a sales letter. It's not writing a sales letter, it's pulling one together. So let's look at how we do this, and of course how we extract and we use some of what we put into our simple product. The first thing is the pre-head. Now a pre-head is not the headline, it's the thing you say before the headline. It kind of sets the frame of reference for what's going on. It's a short introductory statement located at the very, very top. It's there to engage the reader's attention, quickly introduce the product, the key kind of qualification about who should be buying this thing, and it sets the stage kind of for the rest of the sales letter and for the headline. I like to have them highlighted at the top of my letters. That's just kind of what I do. The next thing that we'd have on there is a headline. I'll give you another example as well. The attention pre-head we have here: bloggers, article writers, information publishers, copywriters, internet marketers, and anyone who else writes contents for his or her business. That's the pre-head for the cheat sheets, the Unfair Advantage cheat sheets. So there's two different products that we've got going on here, two different examples. I'll give you two different examples of headlines as well. In fact, this is the headline that I'm currently playing with when I actually sell the presentation that I'm making right now, and I've got a book to go with it. This is the kind of the headline that I'm looking at using here. Learn the secrets of writing 7 to 15 page reports and converting them into simple products you can offer for $37.97, $2.97, or even $9.97 per order. That's my main headline. That's the next thing that we have, the primary headline. So we have a pre-head and we have the main headline. By the way, it doesn't have to be in red. A lot of headlines seem to be in red these days. I don't know who said that. I don't know what the foundation is behind that. But the idea here of a headline, despite the colour, is the fact that it's got to be the ultimate best reason. So write that down. The primary headline has got to be the ultimate best reason why somebody should buy your simple product. What is the most desirable result that your report can give the reader? Get to the ultimate benefit. Be specific. Can you look at time frames? I mean, this talks about 5 to 7 page reports, and it talks about specific amounts of money that you can generate. So there's some specificity. I can't even say the word specificity. Whatever. Be specific. And also, the other thing that happens in headlines that I learned from the great Gary Halbert, fantastic internet marketer, unfortunately, has now left this particular world. He uses contrast in his headlines, maximum money and minimum time. So here, there's a contrast going on, which is in the lines of 7 to 15 page reports. How can that be worth $1,000? There's some contrast taking place in this particular headline. It's there deliberately, but it's got to scream the best reason. I'll give you another example of a headline that we're testing at the moment. What if every sentence you write could almost effortlessly and magically form on your computer? Again, it's the same thing. It's like, well, how can that be? I find writing difficult. Now you're telling me it's going to be easy. So that's the primary head. So just think about writing down on your notes here that what a pre-head should look like, what a primary headline should look like. We'll get into the post-head next. These are all the sections that you need to put into a simple sales letter. And remember, your sales letter does not need to be longer than the report you're writing. This doesn't have to be one of those massive kind of 50, 60 page sales letters that you sometimes see online. And it needs to be nice and simple. Okay, moving on, the post-head. Now the post-head is really just expanding on what the primary headline was saying. And if you can actually explain how your customers can do something easier or faster, more quickly, or be more rewarded than what they're currently getting at the moment. If they buy your products, that's something that you can expand on from the initial headline. So read on to discover how to spiral simple products into an information publishing empire, including monthly membership sites, big ticket classes, licensing deals, and more. So we started off with how you can write simple 5 to 7 page reports and get paid 37, 47, 97, 227, 997. And now we're saying, and actually this will actually help you go to recurring income, it's going to help you get into the licensing business. Can you see how it's expanding on the benefits from a core simple place? That's what we need to do. It's just to draw it out, make it more rewarding. That's the post head. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's get into the body content of the sales letter. Now, how do we do that? Well, have you heard the phrase about give somebody a headache and then give them the aspirin? Okay, it's the idea that you kind of agitate what's annoying them already, and then you present them with a solution. It's a kind of a typical sales thing. The fact is you just want to make your buyers or your prospects aware of their problem if they weren't fully aware already. So let's talk about the problem. So the next P is for problem. We introduce the problem to them as well. Virtually every good sales letter I've ever seen online starts with this format. It starts with what the issue is, and then it takes them to the solution afterwards. And that gives a very nice and easy transition into the product. What is the problem first, and then let's break them into the answer. So let's give you an example that's up on the board there. So you've probably figured out by now, certain people seem to be making all the money because of some kind of buddy system that's in place, where they all promote each other's products. Does that sound familiar? You know those product launches that go online? Do you feel you're not in the buddy system? Yeah? So I'm talking to you, I'm talking your language. Chances are you're not in their club, right? You're busy promoting their affiliate programs, but it's not going the other way around. You're busy buying their latest office while they haven't spent a penny with you. You're still working real jobs, 40 hours plus a week, while they're off playing golf. They're off spending your hard-earned money to play their green fees. Listen, I know it's frustrating on the outside looking in. I hear you, but what if all that could change for you? Yeah, what if I could change all that for you? So that's kind of an example of maybe how you feel if you've been trying to get into the information publishing business. You know that all these marketers seem to be promoting all their other stuff, but nobody wants to do a JV with you. I've certainly felt that way. The difference is I decided to market myself online in a way that I don't need to be in a buddy system. And do you know why I don't want to be in that buddy system? Because I think they're wolves. I think they're wolves. I think they're all kind of part of this. In fact, Tom, you used the word yesterday at dinner. Cartel. A cartel. I don't want to be in the cartel. So I can market myself without their help, thank you very much. And I certainly don't want to pay them back a favour. Does that make sense? Yeah, so don't be in their buddy system. But let me give you an example problem that you can use maybe to adapt or what have you. So let's use it in terms of this one. Have you ever noticed how some people make it look so easy to get some kind of benefit or result? Can you see how we use those square brackets to put in, have you ever noticed how some people make it look so easy to drive their golf ball all the way down the fairway and onto the green, inches from the hole, and you can't? It doesn't matter what niche you're in, you can use this problem and you can tweak it for your own particular industry. Then you try and do the same thing, you just end up getting some bad result, in the rough. Isn't it frustrating? List the reasons why it's frustrating. You practice, you play with them every week, you get the same number of golf hours in. Why is it? Seems like you just can't get the benefit of the result, and now we give you the reason why they can't do it. Listen, I know what it's like, because like you, I used to, and then describe how we had the same problem. That gives you some connection with your prospect. You now feel their pain. It's not their fault. And then you can then lead into the product. Does that make sense? Start with the problem, and then you can naturally just say, well, this is the solution that you need. And obviously you'll get these examples on the blueprints that I'll hand out to you in just a second. So this is what the product's going to look like we're creating right now. I've got the book written for it. Got some special reports. This is the DVD that we're recording right now. Announcing the simple product profit formula. This is my deluxe no-hold barred system for doing this, and this. Ta-da! And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into the bullet points of everything that this system contains. So right now, I've kind of got 90–95% of the sales letter written for this new product. This is kind of the last thing I need to do, and I need to then smooth and polish and pad and proofread the sales letter, and my video editor, behind the camera right now, needs to edit this presentation, and then, it's done. It's created. So we've announced the product. Here it is. Show a picture of it. So that is the P for product. Well, let's move on to the next one, which is proof. Now, these are just placeholders at the moment, okay? But the next thing is you want to prove that your system works. So how can you provide proof that something works? How can you provide proof? Yeah, get some feedback, get some testimonials. That's exactly what this is the picture of. You want to maybe give out a couple of gift copies to some of the people that you know and respect on your list that have been with you a little while. They're going to feel a certain degree of admiration that you asked them to have a pre-release copy of something in response for some feedback. And take all feedback on board. If something's missing, let them tell you it's missing and add it to your product. But testimonials aren't the only form of proof. It's social proof. Social proof is hugely powerful. But also, you want to do something else. You also want to point to some kind of some evidence. One of the things we're going to be doing right in the heart of the sales letter for this product is I'm going to be pointing to some other products that I've written to justify the statement that's in the headline. Okay? Do you remember I said 37.97, 247, 997, and how simple reports can add up into sales prices like that? I'm just going to link to my other websites where I'm selling products for those sums of money. Does that make sense? So I'm linking to evidence. So under your proof, provide testimonials, link to proof, case studies, some kind of visual evidence, some kind of, I don't know, research or what have you. And then you've got your, you've got the proof that you need. Something else you might want to do, regarding the weight loss example, how many of you guys knew that I did the wing walk a couple of years ago? Okay, so what I could do is I could pose a challenge. If I was going to do a weight loss product, I could pose a challenge to the wing walk. Or I could pose a challenge to the skydive that I did for charity as well, for Help for Heroes. So you could link to something like that, and then you could link to a video blog, or you could link to your Facebook page, and you can keep people updated with progress. So again, you've got the idea there of some kind of challenge and what have you. The other challenges that happen online in weight loss, the company I mentioned earlier on, they challenge everyone that takes part in their program to lose 10 pounds. And they get them to put their pictures up on Facebook, the before and after pictures. So the more people that are in your weight loss program, for example, they ask you to put the pictures up online. If you're in golf and your golf product says, I can show you how to drop so many points, or however golf works, I don't play myself. But the fact is, could you take a photograph? Could you get the guys that buy your golf product to take a picture of their scorecard when they get to the 19th hole? Is that the right terminology? Yeah? And then upload that. You know, it's a way of saying that we'll challenge you to do this. Let's show some proof. So that's the other P. Moving on, points. That's the next thing we're going to be talking about. Bullet points. You remember earlier on I told you to extract some of the content that you had in your 7 to 15 page report. Just put them in here. Put them into your bullet points. Talk about the major benefits. Don't talk about generalities here. Make it the major parts of your report, not the minor things. And look, 6 to 7 bullet points is fine. Just pull out a few things that you've mentioned in your free report that you know people are going to be you're going to whet their appetite so they know a little bit more. So there we go. We've got on to our bullet points. The next thing we need to do is we need to actually sort of pull people into the direction of actually ordering. If you look at TV advertising, the JML and the kind of the shopping channel side of things, it's all about, you know, operators are standing by to take your call. You know, here's the website. There has to be some kind of incentive. We were talking earlier about coupon codes and discounts and whatever. You can use scarcity sometimes. You can use implied scarcity. An example of implied scarcity, I remember writing a report once, and I said on the sales material, I said, when I showed this to my original £1 million mentor, he told me in no uncertain terms I should take out the tips on page 67. So when I get this reprinted, you know, you're going to get less information. So that's implied scarcity. Again, when we look at the sheepdogs and the wolves, you know, we know that when you say the deadline's midnight tonight and there's some clever bit of JavaScript or some coding on the web page that moves the deadline on tomorrow, you know, that's kind of like a cheap trick that you shouldn't use. But if you can use scarcity is a motive driver because people are afraid of missing out. So if you're going to use scarcity and you're going to sell, you know, a certain volume, or the price is going to go up on a certain day, do it. We had somebody call the office the other day for the breakthrough event, and they said, I'm emailing you before the price goes up at the end of the month. I have some questions, so because I've emailed you, and when the price goes up, it's all right to call and get the lower price, right? And it's like, well, no, because if I treat you differently to anybody else, and then somebody else finds out, you know, it's like, no, deadlines are deadlines are deadlines. And do you know what amazing thing happened when we put in deadlines and price increments? You know, sort of 24 hours before the price went up, you know, orders came in. You know, and I'm all for teaching customers that, you know, sort of when I say what I say, I mean what I say. Does that make sense? Rather than being one of those marketers, oh, you know, we won't do that. And have you seen some other guys where they do the upsell offers? And then there's the kind of a, wait, before you go, do you want to add this to your shopping cart? Yeah. And then you click no, and it says, okay, have the upsell for half what I just asked you for. Yeah. It's just like, so what they've done is they've trained their customers, the people on their list, to click the no button. It's just like, well, don't do it that way. There are much better ways to do it. And for those of you that haven't seen the magic upsell formula, which is completely, you know, a different way of doing it, you need to go and have a look at a great way, an ethical way of doing upsells. Other ways of doing it ethically, talk about the rules of results. You know, the sooner you get started, the sooner you get the result. That's an emotive thing. The sooner that you begin, the sooner you get what you want. There's different ways of doing those kind of pulls for a call to action. So have fun with doing those. The next thing that we need to put up is some kind of promise in the form of a guarantee. If you're doing digital publishing, if somebody sends your product back, give them a refund. You know, have a 30-day money-back guarantee. In the offline world, what I used to like to do was use something called risk reversal, where I used to say, even if you send back the main product, you can still keep the bonuses. That way, even if you send it back for a refund, you've still got something of value. These days with digital products, my line is normally, look, if it's not for you, just send an email to my team and we'll arrange for a prompt and courteous refund to be processed for you. Do they still have the report? Do they still have the product? Yes. But guess what? You know, and even if they forward it on to somebody else, it's got links to other resources, affiliate links. Yeah, I don't want that to happen, but maybe it will. And I hope that customers don't rip me off. I certainly don't want that to happen. But you know what? I've always learned the lesson of, if you treat customers like you want to be treated yourself, you won't go far wrong. So make sure you put in some kind of thing there to make a promise to say, look, if after looking at it, it's not for you, it doesn't matter. I'd rather we shook hands and parted as friends than we did anything else. What you might like to do, though, is keep an eye on the people that refund. You know, we have people on our database that if they refund like 4 or 5 times, we know that they're just kind of, they're a wolf. Does that make sense? So we just take them off the list. And then systems like JVZoo and ClickBank, if you're using those processes, you can actually ban those people from buying from you. Because why would you want to continually be abused? The next thing we need to do, the next P, is the process. We need some kind of way of putting a buy now button in place. Very simple. If you're using ClickBank, JVZoo, PayPal, they give you copy and paste code to use. You know, there's a way that each and every one of you in the room, if you're not really doing it, can have Visa, MasterCard, PayPal orders all coming into your business. And at the very bottom, maybe you want to have some kind of contact links, disclaimers, or what have you at the bottom, the legals. And that's it. Final thing is the PS, the postscript. That's the final P of your sales letter. And here we include it, believe it or not, because people read PSs. In fact, I've got some PSs when I haven't even got a PS to add, and I say, there's nothing here, but thanks for looking. People read PSs, you know, so always put one in. What you could do in the PS is you could recap the offer, You can recap the offer. You can remind people why they want to buy it. You can reinforce the offer. And maybe if you did have another bullet point that you didn't use, you could add that final bullet point in the PS at the bottom. So, they're the ways that we put together sales letters. So what I want to do now is just spend the last couple of minutes talking about the way in which we can actually turn these simple products into a 6-figure a year business. Now, remember the funnel picture earlier on? I all know you want to fill your funnel with plenty and plenty of products, but let's be honest, we need to start at the beginning. We need to walk before we can run. We know that it's going to be easier to reach our epiphany moment if we start off with a simple low-cost product and reach our epiphany moment. So, it goes without saying that each 6-figure income begins with one simple product. Okay? Start with a simple product. This is phase 1. So, once you've created your product, write and distribute some articles. Get some content out there. Go to the article sites. Go to YouTube. Maybe if you've written articles, read your article to camera, turn it into a video. Just get it out there. That's the first thing you can do to distribute and promote your product. The other thing you can do is go onto discussion forums that you regularly frequent. Remember I said earlier you should join some kind of group because being an entrepreneur is a lonely thing to do. Tell them the process that you're going through and tell them when your product's ready. And if they allow you to use a signature under your discussion forum posts in the profile area you have, put a link, mention your product. Why not? If you build up the relationship with the guys in the group, do it. The other thing you might want to do is tell your existing contacts. If you have started a list or an Aweber or a GetResponse or whatever, tell the people that you're on your own list. Don't ignore that. But spend some time to learn maybe one new marketing technique a week or a month. Do something to help you take your entire business to the next level. Just don't sit back on your laurels. Learn something new. In fact, I believe it's better to concentrate solely on one marketing technique or one way of getting traffic to your website until you've mastered it before you move on to the next. Because it's much better to concentrate on one thing, learn that inside out than it is before you move on to the next thing. And solo ads are doing really great at the moment. Solo ads are if you don't know what a solo ad is where you pay somebody to send an email on your behalf and they get a guaranteed number of clicks to your website of targeted people. Now, one of our speakers has actually put a product together about solo ads, and he'll kind of tell you a little bit more about that story and how he did that tomorrow. However, solo ads are fantastic. You pay some money, you get a result. Absolutely brilliant. So stand by for that tomorrow. So phase 1, tell people about the first product you've created. Phase 2, write more reports. You've written one report, repeat the process. If you can go and get maybe another 4 to 7 reports that are linked to your first report, so let's use the weight loss example again. If you've got something on weight loss, you can lose 10 pounds, you raise your metabolism, how to burn an extra 100 calories. That could be as simple as sort of walking more rather than taking the elevators and the lifts. Low-calorie recipes. If you go into the low-calorie recipes, you've got into a completely different area again now. So you've got into recipes and things for weight loss. So these are all. Can you see how all these are linked, but they have one common theme? So if you can write 4 to 7 of those, the first thing you do remember when I said about report 1 and report 2? And then with report 1, you've got no related products, but with report 2, you link back to report 1. Okay, repeat that process for all 7 reports. So at the end of it, all 7 reports cross-promote each other. Does that make sense? And again, these are low cost, so hopefully you can get somebody to re-up and buy a related product. So go back and cross-promote. Also, you've probably worked out by now, by the time you've got 6 or 7 products, you can bundle them together into a different offer. So you can set up a different letter with a different headline and more bullet points and a higher price because you put them all into one thing. Now, something magical will happen when you can do this. Because the drawback at this point is your sales process will not attract affiliates. I mean, if you're selling things for like $17, $20, whatever, most affiliates start to get turned on, when they're making, I don't know, $50 or more per product. Depends on, on their maths, but the fact is you will start to attract affiliates when your money starts going up. And remember, you've got the same cost of getting people to your website whether you're selling something for 17 bucks as you are if you're selling something for 50 bucks or 100 bucks. So package them together. And if you're selling reports for, say, $20, you've got 6 of those, that's 120 quid, offer them a bit of a discount, make you 97. Can you see how that works now? And you can offer your affiliates $50 per sale that's been made. So bundle things together. The other thing you might want to do, moving on to phase 4, so we've got cross-promotion going on, bundles going on. The next thing you might want to do is go and set up some kind of authority site, a WordPress blog, where you've republished all the articles you've been writing and the videos you've been putting on YouTube about your products. Put them on your own site, on your own blog site, WordPress site. Keep it really simple. At the end of each article, link to the product. So if you've got your checklist product that's 5 to 7 pages or 7 to 15 pages or what have you, the article links to that. Okay? When they buy the product, they buy the simple product, it links to all the others. So keep just doing that multiple times. Keep it nice and simple. Just describe each report and then also describe what we call that big bundle package, the whole enchilada. I think is a term that's been used quite regularly, where you actually put everything into one product. In fact, if you look on the in the catalogues we gave you, forgive me, I think there's something that's either called the whole enchilada or the entire kitchen sink. It's just like, it's there. And customers love them because you get the biggest savings that way. The other thing you might want to do on your authority blog site is entice somebody into an email marketing e-class. So, they join your autoresponder list and you send a message every day for a certain number of days. Tomorrow morning, I'll talk to you about email marketing. But it's something to mention here now because on your authority site, you might as well ask for somebody to join your list. Phase 5, one at a time, convert each of these small reports into something much larger. If we go back to the pages system when we're talking about growing your simple product, what we did here was we grew it from 1 or 2 line ideas, and then I gave you that whole list of words that we could use from ideas, notes, lists, question, reminders. Remember all those we went through? Well, you don't need to use all of those, but here in phase 6, you might want to then include all of those on the same subject matter to make a very detailed home study course. It all has to grow from something that's very, very simple. So you can you put in the checklist, reference list, forms, tools, interaction. You can convert it from one media format to another. In fact, one of the products we have right now, I want to read it into the microphone and turn it into like a podcast. Again, I prefer listening to information with, through my ears rather than through my eyes. Probably that back to my dyslexia. I don't read as many books as I should, but you know what? I love Audible, and I kind of play the book back at twice speed. I want to hear it faster. That's the worst thing about somebody reading to me, is the fact they don't read fast enough. So if I can go double speed when I listen to an audio product, I do that. Other things you can do to put kits together is perhaps basic to advanced. Maybe you started off with something that was starting off for a beginner. Maybe you can do some advanced techniques. There's different ways that you can get people through the different phases. The next thing to think about, probably the final phase, is think about physical products. In our business at the moment, Kate and I had a discussion about how portable we wanted our business to be. We wanted to be transatlantic. We wanted freedom, which is what I was always told that I could have as an information publisher. I was painted the picture of the beach and the laptop and everything, and then we found out we were sending out physical products. So we decided we wanted to be digital until yesterday afternoon. And for the first time, I picked up, I don't know, I mean, just give you an example. This is the first time I've seen my email marketing game plan printed out. And I've actually looked at it and thought, I sell that for 97 bucks? I must be stupid. It's just so much weight there. And this one here, I mean, these three folders there, I just think to myself, that's easily $1,500 worth of information. I'm underselling myself. Once it's been printed out and looking at it, I'm thinking, it's crazy just doing digital. The reason I've mentioned this is as soon as you go physical with your products, you can probably double the price. And I don't mean that in a dishonest way, because you have cost of delivery, you have cost of production, and it will appeal to a different kind of customer. But if you want to get to phase 6, which is sort of mount high ticket product, then think about going physical. I remember an internet marketer, I won't name him, but I remember thinking when I saw his promotion, and by the way, his system works, but I wanted to analyse what was going on here. He sent me a copy of his product and his sales letter. He was over in Cyprus at the time, and I think his product was called something like How to Make $1 Million a Year Selling eBooks, which can be done. Can be. I'm not saying it's easy, but it can be done. But his product was all on DVD, CD, and printed books. And I said, well, the difference here is what you're saying to me and what you're doing to me, it doesn't match. Yeah? So really he was making his money by selling physical products, not just digital products. And by the way, I think that's probably the first time I've used the term ebook today. Don't ever refer to anything you sell digitally online as being an ebook. And the reason for that is ebooks have a connotation of being very low cost or free. So use words like system, method, formula. Just don't use the term ebook. We use it to identify a digital electronic book. But in marketing speak, if you find that in any of your emails or your sales letters, you need to remove it and come up with something else. Huge tip. The other thing about going to physical products, even if we just collated some of our products together, if you read them into a tape recorder, you have your first disc. If you transcribe that, or you use the audio, the written version of that, you've got disc 2. So you've got a 2-disc set. So just by reading your product, you've got 2 discs going on. The other thing that happens when you double your products by making them double the price of your products by making them physical is you're attracting affiliates. Because your price has gone up, they're also more interested in promoting for you as well. Earlier I mentioned that people are prepared to pay different amounts of money for the same information given in a different way. Think about live events for a second. Reminded a few years ago that those of you who've seen me speak before will know I used the case study of Paul McKenna. Now, a couple of years ago, Paul had, I think it was 3 books out in the bookshops all at the same time. I Can Make You Thin, I Can Make You Rich, and I think it was like I Can Make You Stop Smoking or something like that. And each of those books were on sale in the bookshops for, I think it was like £10. Well, a little bit later the same year, Paul had a big retreat for customers at a posh venue round in Hertfordshire somewhere. Do you think Paul was selling tickets to that live weekend retreat for the same price as the book, or for more money or less money than he was selling the books for in the shop? More, way more. What do you think Paul was going to be covering at the live event? The same content that was in the book, or maybe he would expand on some of it, but it's generally the same. So it's the same. So if you take that principle on board, think about live events. Think about hiring a suite or a hotel room or what have you, and get your guys to come and spend some time with you. I personally believe that some kind of magic happens when you can meet with your audience, you can look them in your eyes, your customers become friends, you network, you chat, then joint ventures happen, then business spins, and it just gets better and better. So the earlier I meet customers, I know something magical happens in my business, and I recommend you should do that as well. And I think it's great for your customers as well. I don't know how you guys feel about coming out today and spending the weekend with us. I hope you get a completely different kind of energy here than you would if you were just reading a PDF. Some of the other things you can do, you can take your reports, you can maybe turn them into a subscription-based website. Neil's an expert with membership sites. You could look at coaching, consulting, maybe getting on the phone or getting on Skype with people. Again, getting on Skype and interacting with your customers is going to be a higher ticket price. Licensing, that's how I got started out. I started out licensing other people's content. Licensing is fantastic, still do licensing today on both sides of a license agreement. I license other people's products and software, and I take mine and I license them to other people as well. So licensing is somewhere you could go as well for mountain high ticket products. Your business at the bottom end of your funnel, when you finish doing this, you're looking for £1,000 or $1,000 product, and you only need to sell one of those every month to make a real difference to you. But imagine what happens when you sell 100 of those a month, and that's possible. That's how you do it, but it takes a little bit of time, it takes a little bit of effort, and a bit of work as well. So what I hope you take from this presentation is the fact that, you know, each and every one of you, I firmly believe, can get involved in information publishing with simple products very, very quickly. If you go back to the basics of starting at the top of the funnel, thinking about how you can put together a very simple product and a very simple sales letter, very simple sales presentation, you're going to reach your epiphany moment more quickly than you would if you focused your attention a little bit further down the funnel. That will happen in due course anyway, using the 6 phases that I've given you to 6 figures. But it all starts with focusing your attention at the simple product, the 5 to the 15-page report. So guys, I hope you found that useful. What I would say is that's the end of this particular presentation, but I'm here for questions. So if anyone's got any questions, I know that you had one for me a little bit earlier on.
One was the question, the other was just a comment. The other one, first, the question goes back to what you're saying about dividing the PDF into type of pages, legal pages, so on and so forth. On some, I've seen where they have a legal disclaimer about copywriting and distribution. Is there really any point in that? Because you can't, it's very difficult to control people and stop them from copying and pasting and they use it.
Okay, just so the guys at the back are aware, John, you don't need to video this. Okay? I don't want this to be on camera. In this room, I found that anything I put in place to try and prevent somebody from pirating something, the cost has been higher in customer service and lost sales because somebody can't enter a username and password and unlock the product. So there are systems out there where you can lock and unlock things, and then as soon as the refund happens, they can't get in anymore. I've lost sales because people haven't been able to unlock and lock. So if we go back to the resource page and the special offer page, if they give it to their mates, I hope that that report is so full of good content with links to other great content that eventually the person that got a pirated copy will eventually become a customer. But also the other thing you can do if you wish to is you can have a little line in there saying, if you have a product that hasn't come from this source, you've got a pirated copy, contact us for a valuable reward. The fact is I've never ever had anyone do that, but it might discourage people from giving it away. And there are other things we can talk about as well. Has anyone looked at what they call viral rebranding PDFs? Generally you use them for affiliates to give away. So they give away a version with their affiliate links populated through it. If you want to, you can think about, well, hold on a minute. If I can take the customer's name off the shopping cart into the system and it gets branded on the front page, right? This copy was for Nick James, and it's just like, well, how you've got Nick's copy? You could do that, but you know what? I wouldn't worry about it. I would just worry about selling. Most people are going to be honest. A couple of scoundrels out there, maybe they're not your customers. Maybe they're never going to be coaching clients. Maybe they're never going to go to the part of the business where the money's made. So don't worry about it.
The only thing was also going back to what you're saying about value of physical products as well. Because particularly for written physical products, a lot of people just like to also make notes and highlight stuff like that. I used to work in a law firm, in a law firm and also in a surveying firm, and all these firms tried to go digital because there's such a lot of heavy documents and books. You've got to carry them around all the time. And also, take USB sticks to inquiries and case law cases as well. But despite the fact that they tried to go digital and like with it, people still kept on printing off pages because they needed to see the physical product.
That's right. I think there's always going to be a market for physical products. So in our case, but the question was, by the way, physical or digital, you're going to force people down the digital route. At the moment, I think everyone's welcome to print off our products if they want to do that. The business decision we made was we don't want to be tied into it right now. It might not always be the case. But yes, I think you can charge extra for physical. The other thing is, how many times have you seen pictures where people have got loads of books spread out all over the desk, right? Have they got that many screens? I mean, I've got 2 screens attached to my computer. Kate's got 2 screens attached to her computer. But even if you then add the iPad and the iPhone, that's still 4. And sometimes when I'm working, I've got stuff out everywhere. So that's another way of doing it. Okay, just you first, sir.
Point about digital products. Obviously, they're tremendously attractive because people can download them so quickly. You buy them 1 second, you click on the button, and you've got the link in the email to download. But I'm of a generation that sometimes finds that when I'm reading
Neil, you can come up.
a digital product on my iPad or on my computer, sometimes the scrolling irritates me sometimes, and sometimes I yearn for the physical actual book, because the quality of the print reproduction sometimes with the images in particular is better in the print version rather than in the...
Well, listen, the way we distribute our products now is on PDF, okay? So that's cross-compatible between Windows and Macs and all sorts of things. What I recommend is, if that's for you, I'd go and buy a laser printer, because it's going to be less copy per sheet, and print them out. And do you know what? The other thing is, these folders here, and I didn't realise this for a long time, these folders here have got the 4 rings. You can buy 4-hole paper, right? I'm an idiot. I bought a 4-hole punch, and I punched every single sheet of paper, right? So the next thing is go online, find a cardboard box of 4-hole paper, and make friends with a laser printer and do it your way. Yeah, do it your way. Okay, another question down the front here.
Yeah, sorry, just quickly, it's about the pricing. What's the best psychology that you can use, and how would you go about figuring out the price for your first low-end products, and so on and so forth?
That's a really good question. A lot of people, they price with 7s at the end. That's down to a Ted Nicholas-ism. Ted was a copywriter back in the 70s and 80s. And he said round numbers weren't as effective as things ending with a 7, which seemed to get the best result for him. In terms of a product, I mean, there are different ways you can price. Physical products, you need to have at least a 10 times markup. It's just a rule of thumb within the industry that I found that works. With digital products, one way of looking at it is, I think the customer should get, if they can make $1,000 out of something really quickly, then it's a $100 product. I don't know, 10 times is something I've always looked at. I don't know how you've priced.
No, pricing is a very interesting game's the wrong word, but an interesting subject to get into. Because,
price testing?
Yeah, pricing and price testing. If somebody said, what shall I charge for that? Well, there is a thought process between $7 products, which you've seen online in the internet marketing arena, and upwards. We've sold $7 products as entry-level products. We've sold $20 products. I have a membership course which is $24.95, not a 7 in it. It's $19.95, it could be $24.95. The Internet Marketing Review started off at £37 a year. So back in December 2000 when we launched it, it's been $57 a year, $67 a year, $77 a year, $97 a year, $9.95 a month, $14.95 a month, $19.95 a month, $24.95 a month, and £47 a month. So over the years, we've done different prices and different price testing. If you're going to do low-price products, have a reason, as Nick has gone through today, for having a low-price product, which is to bring people in, and you can build on that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to stand here and say you can't build a business on low-price products, because I know people who've done it. But I don't want to build a business on just low-price products and have a range of them. But, as Nick said, start off. And if you sell your first small report for $7, £10, whatever, great. Then you can, it sells at that price point. I'll tell you a story going back to my don't boo, my banking days. Don't boo. Right. And we were working on a joint venture with, and I won't say them, but it's one of the big supermarket retail brands back in the day. And they were wanting to put an offer out to the customer base for a personal loan. And we were umming and ahhing about the best offer to do. And I just said, listen, rather than go out and think what the best offer is and we think it's this, what is the absolute best offer we can go out at? So what's the best offer? and we go out to a subsection of the market with that best offer. And if that best offer, which is we can't go lower on the rate, we can't go lower on the package, if that doesn't perform, then if we go up, you know, if the best one that we can do doesn't perform, we have to change our thinking. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah.
The only thing I want to add to that is I've got a phrase in the business which is called the most wanted response. Okay? Write this down. This is one of those light bulb things for you. Most wanted response. You're always, no matter where you are in a process of whatever you're selling or whatever marketing funnel you've got, you have got a most wanted response that you want the customer to take. So the most wanted response when you're selling a simple product is to get the sale. That's the most wanted response. So you do anything you can to get the customer to put their hand up, put some money in their pocket, and be qualified and be on your list. That's the most wanted response. So as Neil was saying, when you do price testing, you can carry on putting the price up once you have a base level control, and then you find the resistance. And as marketers, we never ever finish testing, including prices. We just get lazy.
You hear Nick and I quite often say, why did we stop doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and these events are great because as we're going through our sessions, our training sessions, we go, why did I stop doing that? Yeah, and you put it back in. It's because we put it in and discovered something else to go and do. Who's ever had that problem? Yeah, yeah. But with going back to price, it's get a price out there. Yeah, your pricing should never hold you back from launching a product. Yeah, pick a price and go with it. I'll guarantee that most of you will underprice yourselves. Yeah, and you can always raise your prices afterwards. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to be around in this break for further questions. Just be sort of around here to the side. I've got some blueprints for you. Before you leave, if you'd like a copy of the slides and the presentations, they're all at the back of the room. Now, the guys are not going to walk around and hand those out, so it's up to you to make sure you go over with your binder or you go and grab your notes, and then you put them back into your binder. When I say go...
Yeah, there's always one who's there.
There's always one, yeah, indeed. As soon as I clap my hands, you can run to the back, get your credit card. No, we don't do that.
Right, it's 11:10 now, so we say 25 to 12 back here. Coffee is, and we've got
When you hear the music.
strawberries and cream. It's great.
Hey.
I've had to test one just to make sure it's all right. Put your hands together again for Nick.
All right, thanks, guys.